When we think of luxury, often the first thing that can come to mind is a Chanel handbag or the latest model of a car. But luxury can be much simpler. It can be as simple as a moment of quiet calm on a hectic day, or easing into a stretch after a long day of sitting in front of the computer. Today I want to share with you 5 simple luxuries that provide a moment of pure zen and restorative bliss. Hey, it's Asta, and welcome to this Friday evening. Instead of rushing around, ease into the work week by starting your Monday morning by breathing and moving. There is something so deliciously refreshing about being outdoors during summer mornings. The temperature gauge hasn't yet crossed 80 degrees. There is generally a soft breeze blowing as the sun rises up the horizon and the birds are chirping. Find a beautiful spot outdoors. It can be in a park or by a river or even in your own backyard if you're lucky enough to have one. Roll out the yoga mat and take a moment to connect with yourself. Create space for breath and movement. Whether you ground yourself with some easy, gentle stretches or work up a sweat with a more vigorous vinyasa flow, use this time to connect with your mind, body, and spirit. If you're anything like me and struggle with perfectionist tendencies, let go of the idea that this needs to be an hour-long endeavor followed by green juices and salads all day. Make this moment about showing up for yourself on the mat, even if it's just for 15 or 20 minutes. That short burst will leave you feeling relaxed, centered, and calm. Pedal out your legs and hamstrings, roll out your shoulders, stretch your spine, before you jump into the business of life and the hectic work week ahead. The best part about starting your Monday this way is it will chase away any Monday morning blues that you might be feeling. This is truly the ultimate Monday morning luxury. Turn on some soothing music to keep yourself company. Find yourself a pair of gloves to protect your hands. And then it's time to make a little bit of a mess, but the best kind. There's something so lived in and real about a house that has plants in it. Growing up, my mom always had plants in the house and I never got it, especially because it was my job to water them early in the morning. But now as an adult, as with all things in life, I'm realizing that she's right. And having real plants at home is definitely a good thing. Houseplants allow you to bring nature in, add a pop of green, and help purify the indoor air quality. When I first started adding plants to my space, I started with succulents and cacti, as they're really hard to kill and are pretty low maintenance. I then moved on to low-fuss plants like the ZZ and snake plants, and now I finally feel ready to graduate to a finickier plant like the fiddle leaf fig. Fiddle leaf figs can get really big and are great to add to a well-lit sunny corner to liven up the space. I've had mine for a while and have been meaning to repot it, but I wanted to give it some time to acclimatize to the conditions of my home. Fiddle leaf figs are notoriously picky and can get stressed and start dropping leaves when they're repotted. So if you're buying one from the nursery, give it a few weeks to get used to your home environment before you repot it. If you're looking for a low-maintenance alternative, the Chinese money plant, or the UFO plant as it's also called, is a great option. It looks beautiful with its big round saucepan-shaped leaves and requires relatively low maintenance. The best part about this plant is that it produces baby plantlets which can easily be separated and grown individually. I ended up getting 3 separate plants from this one container. The important thing to keep in mind with the UFO plant, however, is that it needs to be rotated weekly, otherwise it gets lopsided towards the side of the plant that faces the sun. Another easy houseplant is pothos, or the money plant as it's called in India. It's one of those plants that grows quickly and abundantly and requires very little upkeep or maintenance. It doesn't need much water, so even if you forget to water it for a week or two, it will continue to thrive and grow. In fact, overwatering this plant is something that you need to be careful about. Spend a summer evening taking the time to unwind, relax, and get your hands a little messy. Herbs are another great thing to grow if you have a windowsill or a balcony that gets lots of light. This whole process is very relaxing and calming. There's something almost playful and fun about getting your hands dirty in the mud. Live a little dangerously and leave your cell phone at home, along with all the constant pings and dings of messages and emails. And instead, find yourself a book, a park bench, and a free hour with no to-dos in sight. Whether you decide to pick up the latest summer blockbuster or something more thought-provoking, there is something so infinitely pleasurable about getting lost in a gripping book. Take the time to explore a whole new world with new characters if you pick a fiction novel, or learn something new if you pick something which is brain food. There is so much to love about the summer: the long days when the sun doesn't set until 9 p.m., the feeling of warmth when the sun hits your face and shoulders, and just how verdant, green, and lush everything gets during the warmer months. But there's also the dogged heat, which leaves you feeling parched, sweaty, and hot. A simple luxury for a hot summer day is a glass of cold, chilled, refreshing spa water. If you want to get a little indulgent, add some flavor to your water with some fruits and herbs. You can do this early in the morning before you head out, or even the night before, depending on when you have time. My favorite combination is pretty simple: some sliced lemons and a few freshly washed sprigs of mint leaves. You do want to try and buy organic lemons and mint, as they will be sitting in the water for a while, as well as take the time to take out the lemon seeds, as they can make the water taste bitter. Other equally yummy options are sliced strawberries with mint leaves or blueberries with lemon slices. Fruit water is pretty common in spas, and taking the time to make some at home feels both decadent and luxurious. A cold carafe of this chilling in the fridge is the ultimate indulgent luxury on those days when the temperature hits 90, and by the time you get home you're hot and flushed. The first thing you do after coming home from a long day of work is take off the bag, kick off the shoes, and pour yourself a tall, refreshing glass of this. This is such a simple yet indulgent luxury. Sit down, unwind from the day, and slowly sip on this as you ease into your evening. It's Friday, or Friday, and it's time to celebrate and indulge in some cold, creamy, delectable ice cream. This one is homemade, and the best part is that it's really good for you. The base of this ice cream is frozen bananas. I generally have some pre-frozen in the freezer because they're great in smoothies. However, if you don't have some, you want to start by peeling some bananas and freezing them. Ideally, you want to go with bananas that are ripe and spotty because they're sweeter. You want to slice the bananas into chunks as they freeze faster, and it also makes them easier to churn in a food processor. Once your bananas have frozen, you want to add them to the food processor. One banana roughly translates to one serving size. Depending on the number of bananas you have, you also want to add dates. The ratio is 1 date per banana that you're using. Adding the dates means that you'll get frozen date chunks rippled throughout the banana ice cream, and they taste a lot like caramel. Blend everything in the food processor till it has the consistency of ice cream, and there you have it, homemade ice cream. You can scoop this into a container and freeze it for a more traditional ice cream-like consistency, or if you're anything like me and a little impatient, you can eat it as is. If you decide to eat it as is, it'll have the consistency of soft serve. I'm also a little bit of a topping fiend, and I want to share some great options which pair beautifully with the banana ice cream. The first option is fresh seasonal fruit. You can use berries or mangoes depending on what you prefer. Here I went with blueberries and blackberries because they're in season and that's what I had on hand. Another great option if you want to be a little bit more indulgent is to break up a bar of really good dark chocolate and use that as toppings. And there you have it, the perfect recipe for a wild Friday night. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It feels like a little vote of support, which I always appreciate. This is Asta saying bye. I will see you here next week. Until then, namaste.